Moto Mouths, the podcast for MotoGP, motorsports, and more. My name is Zoe, and I've had Isack Hadjar for 5 minutes, but if anything more happens to him, I'm going to kill myself and everyone else in this room.
I'm also Zoe, and you know what? I never thought I would say this, but thank you for men and also fathers, because Lewis Hamilton's dad really showed up.
I know Isack has a loving family, but Anthony Hamilton isn't the stepfather. He's the father that stepped up.
Correct.
I've had all of the 2025 rookies for approximately 5 minutes, and they've charmed me against my will.
I have loved the round table videos that they've been putting out.
It's so
I
cute.
made a joke, I think, to you where they remind me of watching The View or the celebrity actresses on actresses round tables, and they're just kids.
It reminds me of the old One Direction videos.
God, now I'm sad and ancient. Really taking me back.
We'll talk more about the Australian GP in a bit. But first, we have to start with our tradition, not to talk about Jorge Martin for 2 minutes at the top of the pod, but
let's.
He is officially out for COTA, RIP, or in his case, break.
And we all kind of knew. This is news that we all knew would be coming. So it was just, an update that we all were basically waiting for. There was an additional piece to this kind of news that I do think is really interesting to talk about.
Yes.
So Aprilia has made a formal request to the governing body that Jorge Martin should be allowed a isolated custom training session on his bike for this year. They have framed this in the sense of, he is coming back from a major injury, a series of injuries. He is coming back, directly trying to get back as soon as he can. It's a safety issue. He should have the chance to ride the bike that he's going to be riding for the season to understand whether or not he can safely jump back into the championship or if he should take more time off to recover properly. That is the way they are framing this. What is also very interesting about this is that they are remaining very tongue-in-cheek about the fact that the person they're asking for this special compensation for is the reigning world champion.
I mean, has this ever happened before?
So the question of precedent is a great one.
Thank you.
This specific situation has not happened before. However, rules will change mid-season, series change, situations change, rules are set up in place. The precedent that I think people do and don't take into account for this is really interesting. We do have existing precedent for rules changing mid-season when it comes to regulation, but we don't have it in the sense of someone is coming back for recovery and they want to get back on a bike. That has not really happened before. The most kind of recent situation that people are looking at to talk about this request is Frankie Morbidelli. Frankie, reminder, had that really, really awful, scary, terrible crash in Portimao before the 2024 season, in which he reportedly wasn't breathing, lost consciousness, and then was out for the rest of the preseason, and then came right back on to his bike for the beginning of the season and had a really nothing to write home about 2024. Frankie didn't have a session before the actual season started to kind of get back into the swing of things. And that's the precedent, lack thereof, that a lot of people are looking at.
He's not going to win the world championship this year. I don't even know what he's going to do standings-wise. Best case scenario, maybe he comes third if he has a truly miraculous season. But I just don't foresee it happening. So I also don't see the harm.
Mark has responded to it on record. And he has said, personally, I would love to have had that when I was coming back from injuries over the last couple of years. Mark's point is that we shouldn't have mid-season regulation changes of this nature. It should be something we talk about next year. Davide and the Ducati team has said something very, very similar. But it's sounding like overall, the inclusion of this type of session for a medical recovery kind of understanding, people feel positively about it, which is a great thing. MotoGP has such an issue with recovery and injury.
You don't say.
It's kind of crazy. So it seems like everybody's into the idea. The sticking point seems to be that this is a mid-season request. This is coming on behalf of the world champion who isn't an amateur and absolutely knows what he's doing when he gets on a bike. In my opinion, I'm all for advancing and shifting rules for medical support and making this sport safer. I'm not for shifting regulations mid-season to benefit the reigning world champion.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think that there has to be a level of like there has to be a case by case basis where it's by severity.
Exactly. There hasn't been a lot of detailed conversation about it, right?
You're not going to do this for a broken toe. Like that I don't think is okay. Maybe if it's like you've missed a minimum of 3 races, then you can do it. Like if it's going to substantially
Jorge Martin has like 8 broken bones in his body right now. I feel like that
it's
100%
100% qualifies. But I'm now thinking if this isn't coming into effect during the season, it sounds like it's probably going to come into effect in the after season. If Mark is on board, then I feel like who's going to say no besides that?
Yeah, resident cyborg who's ruined his body on behalf of this sport, putting his weight behind it.
So my question is okay, well, what are the parameters for the next person is my question. Because
it becomes another question of precedent. Since we don't have any precedent right now, you're making it.
The other thing that's, really is rough about Aprilia's situation here is that
speaking of injury,
Jorge's replacement is now also injured. Their test driver, Lorenzo Salvadori.
He did pull out of the GP this weekend because his left shoulder is jacked the fuck up, which is rough. Like Aprilia is hurting right now in a lot of different ways.
So true.
Should we talk about a different team? Because I want to talk a little bit about Honda.
I think that the power of LCM Honda's livery propelled Zarco to infinity and beyond this weekend.
It was actually really crazy watching anything that happened this weekend with Johann Zarco on the sharp end of things. That was wild.
And he looked good doing it.
I looked into this because a lot of the comms around this weekend were about how he really likes this track. And as we've discussed, Argentina hasn't really been on the calendar consistently in a while. Johann Zarco's, his history at Argentina throughout his time in MotoGP, moving backwards from this year, P6, P2, retirement, P15, P2, P5. And that record is all across Honda, Ducati, KTM, and Yamaha.
This man's talk about Mr. Worldwide.
Truly, like Pitbull, get over here. But he likes this track.
And he did a great job. I mean, all of Honda did a great job. Well, not all of Honda, but,
most of Honda did. You're right.
Most of Honda did well.
Zarco ended P5. Joan Mir ended at P9. Luca Marini ended in P10. So this is great. A great showing for Honda. And clearly, what I think is really interesting about the Zarco thing is the Honda setup. The bikes apparently did well here. And then Johann Zarco really likes Argentina. So I think that's where you see that huge bump in performance from him. This has been a very interesting weekend when talking about the Japanese Cup. We all got excited, and I say we because I'm including myself in that, got excited about Yamaha during preseason, and they just have not really had a great showing. Honda seems to be making steps forward. Honda has been throwing money at this entire project in MotoGP. So, maybe this is an isolated incident, but to me, I think the Johann Zarco of it all is isolated. I think that Honda is making steps forward, and I think that can only be a good thing for the series. Also, I love it when Luca Marini does well. Good for him.
Shall we get into the race weekend?
We should.
And shall we take a look back at our incredibly incorrect predictions?
Yeah, we definitely need to talk about those.
So, for Fail King, I said Pecco. You said Frankie.
And you know what? I want to be on record immediately as that last week I said I didn't want that to be true.
And then
it wasn't. And I am so glad to be wrong.
Which in a way kind of brings you back to being right.
Right. Exactly.
And then in third, we both said Marco Bezzecchi.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Oh, it's so sad.
It's just sad.
We fucked it up so bad.
And last week I said I just wanted to feel uncomplicated joy. And I got that, but not with Bez.
No.
And you know what? I will say, this is a quick side note because this is about Moto 2 and not MotoGP. My favorite little guy in Moto 2 is Celestino Vietti, who is also part of the VR46 Academy.
And Bez's very good friend.
Yeah, and like if nothing else, Frankie and Celestino delivered that joy to me at the cost of everything that happened with Bez. So that's a huge bummer.
And then in second, I got this right. I said Alex Marquez. You said Pecco. And then in first, we both said Mark. Of course, you're right. Anyone who said otherwise was stupid. The king kinged all weekend.
He sure did.
The first person to ever win a treble 2 weekends in a row in MotoGP. The first person to ever win the first 2 opening races of a season. And yeah, he's just doing his goat shit.
That's my goat. That is my special little guy. I've had so much fun these last couple weeks, and let's just get into it.
I'm personally riding the high of being right about Alex Marquez.
And you should. Like, you really should, because I was not expecting that, and that's on me. That is on me, and you were right. The podium for the sprint was Mark in P1, Alex in P2, and Pecco in P3. I'm going to be really honest, just with you and our listeners. I was drunk in a backyard watching this, so I don't really have a lot to say other than Mark was doing his Mark goat shit, and I loved another Marquez one too. Like, I am not immune to the joy.
And what is there to say about the sprint other than
goat doing goat shit?
The Marquez's dominated and everyone else did their thing. What I think is most interesting about the race, besides poor Bez crashing out on the first lap, that was really
sucked. It really sucked.
We just want what's best for you, Bez. Anyways, what I thought was very interesting about this race is that it was almost exactly identical to the last race, in which Mark said, I'm going to hang out behind my little brother, manage my tires, and see you guys on the last few laps when I overtake and win.
Yeah, I think it's a very similar story, but one I think Mark that happened a little differently. So it's similar in so many ways, right? Where Mark is a couple of times early on in the race almost lost the bike. Dude was pushing. And Alex was matching him for quite a bit of it. And finally, Mark kind of looks like he makes the decision of, you know what? I know I have the balls to the wall mentality to make this work. There is a good chance I'm going to crash or lose something. Let me hang out behind my brother, who clearly knows this track better than I do and has it put together in his head better than I do. And let me just sit back here, manage my shit, and learn from him a little bit. And then when I want P1 back, I'm going to take it.
Again, like I said last weekend, there was never any moment during this race where he was not going to win.
I think it was I would say it was a fraction of a percent less of a chance.
Sure.
But it was still very much like it was his to lose again.
And he didn't.
Yeah. And I think Alex did a great job. Like, I don't know what happened, but like Alex having Argentina like locked up in his little brain, incredible. That was great to watch.
I love seeing them, I mean, on the podium. Afterwards on social media, they posted that they did this like little dance. And I swear to God, I don't know if you've seen the little dance.
Oh, I saw the dance.
Okay. They look like they live in Lazy Town.
They look like someone rendered them for a video game, like super, super long and stringy. Lazy Town.
Lazy Town. Like, yes, they look
and
like
it's
they
so
are.
Cute. It's so cute because it's like, so they did the dance, and they did the dance to Dochi's recent release of Anxiety, which like
iconic.
It's such an iconic moment of like goats with goats.
It was a fun weekend. It was a fun weekend all around. I love when it's a Laurel.
Oh, it was so cute.
I love a little Laura moment.
And the Laurel moment is actually, again, another record like we were talking about just now. The Laurel record is Mark has now, I believe, matched Angel Nieto's win record.
Yes.
Mark is now the third most winningest MotoGP rider in history.
I also saw that his son said that he's really honored that Mark mentioned his father in saying that he won the record and that people are remembering his dad and that he's happy that Marcus equaled it, and that made me really happy.
No, that was incredibly, incredibly sweet.
Great week
And
for fathers.
yeah, great week for dads. Crazy. So the next race is going to be at the Circuit of the Americas in Tejas in Austin. And guess what, you guys?
Zoe's going.
I'm gonna be there.
Yeehaw.
It's crazy. I'm gonna get so sunburned.
You're going to get so sunburned.
I'm so excited.
I hope you have the best time. You're going to have to do some like on the ground reporting for us on the pod.
I will be doing some guerrilla reporting. Do not worry.
Normally we would talk about our predictions for Coda, but obviously it's not for 2 weeks. So we're going to save our predictions until next week's podcast.
So you'll hear them then.
You'll hear them then.
Stay tuned. Shall we discuss some events from the great wide world of motorsport?
This was a great weekend for haters in the great wide world of motorsport.
Such a great weekend for haters, except for one major, major caveat. But yeah, haterism was on point.
So just quickly to start off F1, let's quickly go back through what our predictions were. For Fail King, we both said Timothy Antonelli. So sorry, Kimmy.
Honestly, proud of you. You did what you had to do.
Really proud of you. You did a great job. In P3, I said for Lewis Hamilton. Did I? Yeah.
I think you did. Yeah, I think you had a Charles Lewis.
No, you had
2 and 3.
Lewis. You had Charles Lewis.
Oh, that was me.
I had Lewis Max. And then we both said Lando P1.
And you know what? It's nice to be right, even though I hate it sometimes.
Even though it leaves such a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, Ferrari shit the bed.
Well, you know, this weekend Ferrari learned an important lesson, which is water is wet.
And it's out there.
And it's out there.
And sometimes it's in the car.
And sometimes it's in the car.
Crazy. It's insane to me that Ferrari has, for whatever reason, the monopoly on the stupidest motherfuckers on the engineer side. And I know they're not stupid. I know they're incredibly intelligent.
It's not even their engineers. It's just the race engineers on the radio just say this.
Yes.
Poor Lewis Hamilton. They're like, you can use K1. And he's like, please leave it to me. They're like, K1. He's like, I said, leave it to me, please.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, buddy, welcome to Ferrari.
And Charles did the same thing.
The same thing.
Like, Jesus Christ. Shut up. Stop talking. Well, actually, speaking of one haterism win on behalf of Ferrari, Fred dunked massively on the country of Britain.
This was my favorite thing to come out of the whole weekend. And a lot of good things came out of this weekend. Because I love that man. I love that little bald man. Fred Vasseur in the team principal press conference was asked if Lewis was having any trouble adjusting to Ferrari, to Italy, the food, the weather, the language,
the culture.
And Fred Vasseur said,
which is so xenophobic of them. Jesus Christ.
Fred Vasseur said, I don't think it's any hardship to eat Italian food when you're coming from the UK. And he was so right for that.
Italian culture win. Thank you, Frenchman Fred Vasseur.
Truer words have never been said on the team principal press conference ever.
Which, like, those press conferences typically are only one of two things. They're incredibly dry and boring, or mean girls in high school hating each other publicly. And I, for one, love that.
And this week, Fred Vasseur was a mean girl hating on the UK for the rest of us. So, other haterism, our behated shit the bed the whole weekend beautifully.
It felt so good.
Tick in our favor for Crash King, because
yeah. I loved waking up to a text from you at like 1 a.m. being like, haha, guess who?
Guess who's in P18, P20, P17, DNF.
Tasted so good.
Yum, 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 yum. Delicious. Daniel Ricciardo has cursed that seat so hard.
And you know what? I think Checo also left some bad energy.
Oh, 100%. He was like a
he
conduit.
Was also shoved out.
He got all of Daniel's. He had to sit and stew in Daniel's curse for 3 years and then get also pretty unceremoniously dumped. That whole seat is just, there is not an exorcism
layers
on earth.
On layers on layers on layers.
There is no amount of sage. There is no amount of exorcism and holy water.
We
that
need
could
to
cleanse.
literally sacrifice Helmut Marko on the altar of some dark god.
And let's, because this man
Can't shut up.
I want to kill him. I have over the week become increasingly fond of Isack Hadjar, and he is now my reason to live. I got a text and it said, Isack, no. Oh, he's crying, Isack. And I immediately turned on the race because I was trying to go to bed because it was midnight. And I'm so glad Anthony Hamilton was there to hug him. It's not enough. I need to hug him. I need to cradle him in my arms and tell him that it's going to be okay. But I also want to tell him, I'm really proud of you for not swallowing that emotion. That is a really heartbreaking thing to happen. You've worked your whole life to start your first F1 race. And like Anthony Hamilton said, your parents have worked for it. Your family is waiting and watching. And then your tires slip on paint and you spin out and it's not even anything you can control. I'm really proud of you that you let your emotions flow instead of doing the unhealthy thing and like really swallowing that down. Who wouldn't be upset? I would be a fucking mess. Oh my God. I don't know what I would do. I would stay on track and let the cars hit me.
And Albert Park is such an intimidating place to debut.
Such
Albert
an
Park
intimidating
is
place.
always a disaster. You're right. It's to his credit and to Mr. Hamilton's credit that this legitimate expression of emotion was taken seriously. And it shouldn't be ridiculed. This is a thing that people feel, and these guys are throwing their bodies around tracks at rates of speed that the average human cannot comprehend. You should be allowed and encouraged to have that emotional response. And this is the entry to my manifesto on why we should sacrifice Helmut Marko at the altar of a dark god, because the man cannot shut up. And started talking shit about Isack Hadjar's emotions. Absolutely ridiculous. I would like to see him go through Albert Park full speed in a McLaren and not come out as soup.
I'm going to take his remaining eye. You don't get that anymore, sir. So to get to the rest of the rookies really quickly, all of them I thought did a really great job. Ollie Behrman is truly God's bravest little soldier. He's driving a Haas.
The fact that he's still there, I think, is
truly
just good enough.
The fact that he didn't just drive into what is it, Albert Park on, a lake?
Yeah, there's a little pond or something.
Drive into the lake. Miraculous. That he didn't hit one of the many ducks. Miraculous.
Incredible.
Comedy of errors for that poor boy. Beyond that, I thought all the rookies did a really great job. If they didn't do it in qualifying, they did it in the race. If they didn't do it in the race, they did it in qualifying.
Great point.
Poor Fernando Alonso.
I know. I can't believe a rookie of his stature is just having such bad luck.
We had such high expectations for him coming into this. I was looking forward to him being the best rookie. I was looking forward to him winning Rookie of the Year. And I think it's going to be Kimmy's.
No, I was too.
You can't just retire the car like that. He was doing well.
I know. And it's really unfortunate when you look at Fernando's record in the lower series. You're just really, really hoping that he's going to be able to pull it off. And I'm just really excited to see how he does with the rest of the season.
I'm really excited to see where he can go. He's got a long career ahead of him.
He really does.
That's what I've got to say to all of the rookies, including Fernando's. Chin up, guys. You've got a long career ahead of you. Except Jack.
Don't get into it. And you know what's crazy is that Fernando is sticking around for a while.
And that is true. He's really sticking around for a while.
He's not going anywhere.
He's not. Jack Doohan had a great qualifying.
He did. I was very pleased. It is such a bummer that his home race debut started this way. But in all honesty, what did we expect? Because Oscar Piastri also was nowhere near the podium for a variety of reasons.
We have to look at what kind of magical powers Daniel Ricciardo has, because he lost that podium and no one has had it since. No Australian has performed well at Albert Park. I'm a little scared of him, frankly.
I'm too.
He has the power to compel my money out of my wallet and into his.
What else can he do?
What else can he do? Shout out to my best friend Hannah, who lives in Melbourne, who went to the Enchante pop-up for me and got me a shirt, a hat, and a tote bag. Love you, Hannah. Thank you so much. I can't wait for that to arrive when she sends it.
Hi, Hannah.
Love you, Hannah.
I do want to give you a quick shout out because last week we had a very long back and forth about the McLaren of it all. We were talking about the team orders and the 1-2 driver situation. And I kind of was thinking that it's too early in the season for them really to decide whether or not they're going to go with a true 1-2 driver set. And you said, no, like they have to. Like they
have to. I didn't think they would, but truly they have to if they have any hope of winning it. And they did. And I hate them for it.
They did. And everybody hated it.
Everybody hated it. I hate those stupid fucking papaya rules. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, it was so... I hated it.
But I just want to say, Oscar Piastri, the man that you are, they marked you out of that race and you grit your teeth, threw that car into reverse and got back on the track and finished that race. And not only did that, but finished with 2 points.
Had an incredible recovery drive.
Incredible recovery drive. So proud of him. Truly
a masterclass in being
determination.
Classy. Like that's what it is.
Mark Webber needs to give up his Instagram handle because that's Aussie grit.
No, that's crazy. I truly, like in the notes for this, I said, Oscar, where is your anger rise? Because the dude needs to get mad. I've had enough of your commitment to the team. I've had enough of you being a team player. I need you to start committing vehicular manslaughter.
Shall we get into the podium of it all?
We should. We both predicted Lando Norris winning this race. And unfortunately, and, gratifyingly, we were correct.
May it be his last. Amen.
Mac P2 was lovely to see. He did a great job.
So happy that he pulled that off. I was not surprised that he was able to do that in the wet. He is the best driver in the wet on the grid. And then George
P3.
He just kind of did his thing, poodled along, and
you know what? I'm not upset about it.
Me neither.
It was kind of like, you know what? I'll take it.
Pretty good lineup all the way down. We've got in P4 after the penalty was overturned, Timothy Antonelli, the highest, one of the highest debuts for a rookie. I think the 4th highest debut for a rookie.
Which is nice because he's in P4.
Exactly. And then P5, Alex Albon. So happy for him.
Race engineered by Carlos Sainz.
Truly. I am so excited to see what comes from Williams. This weekend has gotten me so excited to see everything to come from James Vowell's big throbbing brain.
Stop.
And then P6, I was so happy about this. Lance Stroll, P6.
I was so pleased about this. Like rookie Fernando Alonso, unfortunately DNF'd, but Lance Stroll, veteran that he is, made it happen.
I think everyone forgets that Lance is phenomenal in the rain. He is a phenomenal driver in the rain.
He's Canadian.
He is Canadian. He just had a really clean race. Got a great haul of points for Aston Martin. And I'm excited to see where Lance goes in the next few years. I think that once he gets a decent car under him, I mean, people forget he's still the 2nd youngest point scorer in Formula One.
When he and Fernando both seem confident with the car this year, just Albert Park in the wet doesn't care who you are. So I'm really excited to see what he and Fernando can do.
And in P7, Nico Hülkenberg.
Love that.
Love that for him. Really won out, I think, on the whole shenanigans of it all. Then we've got Charles, Oscar, Lewis. The one thing that I don't like about this entire situation is that Yuki had such an amazing weekend. This motherfucker said, say Red Bull. I hear you like him young. And then drove on that shit. Last week, I put on our Instagram and TikTok a podium of haters. We have been knocked off the podium.
We have.
It's now Yuki Tsunoda, Taylor Swift, Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. It sucks that he couldn't follow it up with a really great race because he qualified so well.
But he did have a great race. I think he got fucked over by the rain in the end because he was up to P2 at one point. I mean, he had a fantastic, fantastic weekend, proving that if Daniel couldn't be in that seat, it should have been Yuki. Yuki, you deserve the world.
It's just a bummer.
It's a bummer, but you know what? Speed talks. Pace talks, and he clearly has it.
Yeah, I think if there were any reason to usher this season on further, it would be because I'm really interested to see where Yuki ends up.
And then for all of his misery this weekend, Ollie Behrman, the only other rookie besides Timothy to finish the race.
And you know what? We love a king that finishes. That's all you need.
That's all you need. Get out there and stay out there. And he did that. So looking ahead to next week, is there anything else that we wanted to talk about? Oh, yeah, we wanted to talk about how fucking annoying Lando Norris is.
Oh, we did want to talk about that. Lando Norris, after the race, was asked, I don't know, a couple of questions about the Constructors' Championship winning car. That is
The
the
rocket
basis for
fucking
the
ship.
GP winning car that looks great this year. I don't know why he'd be asked any questions about that, actually.
So weird.
And his response was, quote, "Too many questions in the media are about just the car. Me and Oscar drove very, very well. I'm not saying others didn't, but others should not have been as far off as they were. That was clear. I think we do, by a little margin, have the best car. I'm not denying that. But not everything is about the car, and that's clear. Clear as mud. Thank you."
Number one, bold to say in the car racing sport that there's too many questions about the car,
Feels a bit weird.
especially since he has had a front row seat to people asking about Max's car for the past 3 years.
Lando has a funny habit of saying results are often just because of the car. He got a little bit in some hot water at the end of last year for saying that to Lewis, where he said something along the lines of like, well, you had the best car at one point and now it's our turn. So what's the truth?
It seems like when you do well, it's all driver. And when you do poorly, it's all car.
Interesting.
Interesting.
He's so fucking annoying.
Just own your talent and own the win. Like,
You could say this exact same response and you could frame it in a slightly different way and you would come out on top of that interaction. All you have to do is say, the car's great. We all know that. That's clear. Also, Oscar and I drove really, really well this weekend, and we should really be focusing on like the great performances both of us pulled out in a really uncertain situation.
100%.
That is the way you win that interaction and say what I'm assuming he's trying to say. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
I'm not. The other thing is that we all have eyes. Like, we all see that your car was like 16, 20 seconds ahead at one point.
I think we do, by a little margin, have the best car. That is a lie.
That is a little bit more than a little margin, my friend. He is so fucking annoying. He will always be annoying. He is whiny.
It's crazy because when he says stuff like this, I don't disagree with sometimes the spirit of what he's saying. He and Oscar should be getting props for great drives. Someone in McLaren needs to sit him the fuck down and teach him how to speak, because this is not an appropriate way to be a race winner or a championship contender.
He's just so whiny. He's immature is what it is. He's so immature.
It's annoying.
It's annoying. Like, what are you, 26 years old, 25 years old? Like, grow up.
Come on. Meanwhile, Oscar's 23 and the second coming of Kimi Räikkönen.
Yeah. Anyways, speaking of McLaren, you've got a big storm coming next week in China.
You sure do. The FIA has announced that they are doing some more rigorous testing of the wing flex that is currently happening on quite a few different cars. We don't know who this is affecting, but it looks like it's multiple different teams that will be impacted by this more rigorous kind of intensive look. I have a feeling it might affect the McLarens, which would be great for me personally, and also like my experience of joy in the world. But we're going to see how that's going to go in China. That'll be nice.
They keep saying that this McLaren for the past couple of years has not been illegal. And I keep saying, I don't believe you.
Yeah, investigate that.
Yeah.
Tap the phones.
Yeah. Do you want to do a quick prediction for China?
Yes. I'm going to go, I hate to do this, I'm going to go a McLaren 1-2. Lando, Oscar, and then a Max P3. Fail King, I'm going to go with Ollie Behrman. I don't know why. I don't want it. But maybe this means he'll have a great weekend.
Yeah, you're reverse jinxing. I'm going to do Oscar P1. I think that they're going to throw him a little bone and say, I'm sorry. Sorry, buddy, for last weekend.
Here, have this.
We don't have a real 1-2 situation where McLaren, we don't have 1-2s. So obviously, because Oscar's going to win. Lando P2. Max P3, and then my fail king. I'm going, let's keep the party rolling. I'm going.
I love that energy.
Love the energy. That brings us to the grid as ... which for the uninitiated is a portion of the podcast where we categorize a handful of riders and drivers from across the great wide world of motorsport as a person, place, thing, concept, idea. And this week, in honor of going to 2C countries, I really like how MotoGP and F1 continue to be aligned on this, COTA and China. We will be doing...
Is COTA a C country?
Fuck. God damn it. Maybe racetracks.
People in Texas would be really happy to hear that COTA is a country.
Racetracks that start with C. We have COTA
Zoe,
and
I didn't know you were
China.
an enthusiast for the Texas emancipation process.
Yeah, I want Texas just to see it and get the fuck out of here. Yeah, so racetracks that start with C, we've got China and COTA. We're going to go with critters that start with C. You see that we're doing a little play on C's here.
So I will be focusing on Jorge Martin and Marc Marquez for this week's edition of the Grid As. I'm going to start out with Jorge Martin as a carp.
Okay.
Because I just really imagine him still in that pod, like it's a fish tank. That's just where it is.
Because he's the most common fish to pull out of the ocean in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, that.
Okay. Great.
And then for Mark, I will be going with something that is quite on the nose. And I'll be going with the carpenter ant because he is the ant from Cervera.
And he hurts like fuck to step on a pile of.
Correct. And he's teeny tiny.
For my two, I'll be going with two rookies. The first, I'm going with my beloved Isack Hadjar. Isack Hadjar is a capybara.
I saw that on a list of sea critters and I was like, someone needs to pick that. And I'm so glad you did.
Is it not correct?
It's incredibly correct.
I mean, even kind of the shape of his face and nose is it gives kind friend capybara.
And his haircut.
Yeah, he is a capybara. And then I'm going to go with the other rookie, Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso is a coelacanth, which evolved 400 million years ago.
I get it. What is it?
It's a fish that's I think it's the oldest
Why
fish.
didn't you both go with fish?
It's old. They thought it was extinct. It was so old, but then it came back.
Yeah, that is Fernando Alonso.
That's what I'm saying.
In every way.
In literally every way. All right. That brings us to the end of the pod. Next week is off for MotoGP, so we will talk about China. We'll talk about our predictions for COTA, and then we'll pick back up with MotoGP and COTA in 2 weeks. Make sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at MotoMouths. That's it.
Come hang out.
Come hang out, and let's keep chatting soon. Bye.